Electric Fire Chapter 2 Newfound Hope.
Rouge went off to get supplies for Omega once nightfall came. I stayed alert in case the military would find us. Omega was pretty rusted and dusty. Poor girl was probably abandoned just like me. It was nice to be out again. Now I can see what I've been missing since I was put into isolation. Asleep for years and knowing about where I was, my mind raced back to the Ark before any of this happened. My memory went back to her. The only best friend I had, Maria. I didn't realize. I called her name out loud. I then felt a metallic hand on my shoulder, seemed Omega knew somehow. I said nothing, remembering that she was shot down in front of me. I then hugged Omega, and for the first time I actually grieved. Soft, salty tears slid down the metal arm I was hugging. Omega didn't know how to respond, he just stood there allowing me to grieve. Rouge soon returned with supplies she stole. I didn't care though. I sat in the tall grass as Rouge worked on helping Omega to get the rust off and dust, but then I could see a flashlight in the distance, soon a lot of them. We gotta move. It isn't safe. Rouge nodded, flying ahead as Omega followed. I used my speed to keep up with Rouge. My rocket shows gave me an extra boost for speed. Gunshots sounded behind us, but we kept moving and dodging bullets. Soon we could no longer hear the bullets from behind. We lost them for now. We took shelter in a cave before continuing our journey upon old hiking trails, traveling for 2 days and only getting rest of absolutely necessary. Omega needed to charge. There weren't any places for him to do so without being spotted by locals, though there was an open door to a garage. Rouge and Omega went in to look for charging cables. I stayed outside on lookout duty. A flash of blue ran past me. An electrical current followed to causing my fur to puff up due to the static. I watched the blue streak vanish, but then it came back. This time I curled up into a ball. When it came back, my defense mechanism had kicked in. I was still fearful after the incident back on the Ark. I was cautious. I wasn't sure on if this thing was a danger to my new teammates or if it were a friend. I also thought this was something that escaped from the military to come and find me. When I uncurbled, nothing was there. Rouge and Omega stayed in the garage thinking they'd be safe there until Omega was fully charged. I headed to the forest to gather my thoughts, but then robotic drones circled around me, scanning and collecting data off me. I knew this time I'd have to put my own powers to use. I threw a couple chaos spears at them, getting a bullseye on each one. Reinforcements came rushing in as I completely destroyed the first couple. I was outnumbered. I had to retreat. I knew I could try my Chaos Blast move, but I was still trying to get used to my Chaos powers after not using them for so long. I used homing attack at a couple of the drones. Soon I was out of the safety of the forest, now back to where the house stood by the garage where my team was. I couldn't let these things to where my new friends are. I was gonna need to face them alone. The drones were hovering behind me. I jumped on one as it tried firing at me. I got struck by another after landing on top of my target. I was shot down on another drone before falling down into an open window, landing on the ground injured. I looked up as the drones started to come down the same window. They were reloading their weapons, but then I heard someone say, "Oh no, you don't." Then a flash of blue lit across the room, bouncing off walls and even the ceiling, causing an explosion of drones. Metal shells of white and black littered the floor. Bright lights went to dark and lifeless once the circuits were disconnected. Something landed in front of me. I looked up only to see another hedgehog. I never saw another hedgehog before. The way he rode up to battle the robots was amazing. A blue streak lit up the room as he attacked all the other drones that came down to avenge the fallen ones, but the hedgehog just battled them all at the same time. I never tried anything like it, mostly relying on my own chaos energy instead of physical moves. I guess I could probably learn a thing or two from him. I was 50 years old but didn't act like it. This guy I could tell wasn't very old, definitely a teenager. Drone pieces surrounded me within a minute. The guy wasted no time picking up every piece and putting them into the garbage can that was set in a corner of the room. His room looked nice, lots of sun speed signs, a race car, bed, wall lights, a beanbag chair, a boombox, flash comics, and a lot of other stuff. This wasn't anything like my room back on the Ark. The room on the Ark was normal. A few posters and a small desk next to a window and a skylight above my bed. But then my train of thought was lost after feeling the other hedgehog's gaze on me. I was injured but not too heavily. The joys of being immortal, I guess. He went downstairs without a word. Next thing I knew, a human came into the room carrying medical supplies. It was a woman. I could tell she had no evil intentions and just wanted to help. I stayed still, allowing her to do what was needed. It hurt when she took the bullets out. One was lodged in my back, another had hit me in the leg. The hedgehog stood back almost and noticed I never even heard him. He was sitting on the beanbag chair making sure I was okay. His eyes lit up with curiosity, though I sensed something else from him. Hope. Perhaps he had never seen another hedgehog before. Even I never had either. This must be the first for him as well. The human left after patching me up. She never said a word though. Now the questions. I never met anything like this. Question after question came from the hedgehog.
I'm Sonic. So where are you from? You're a hedgehog, right? You're from another planet too. What was life like before you came here? Are you allergic to anything? Have you met Dr. Robotnik? Why were those drones after you? Have you ever been lonely?
Man, this was already painful. I get he was just curious, but seriously hitting me with a lot of questions. I sighed. Hi, Sonic! I'm Shadow. I decided to take the answers slowly instead of speeding through them. My mind raced to every question he asked, so despite that he talked quickly instead of me. I didn't like to talk much, but I couldn't bring myself to not answer his questions. It was a lab experiment created in a space station outside of this planet's atmosphere. Technically, I am from this planet, I guess. Meow, my hedgehog, while a hybrid, I am mixed with a different creature. And mostly lab testing and injection needles was mostly my life outside of the lab while I helped take care of my creator's granddaughter. She was really sick. Her illness had no known cure. No, I'm not allergic to anything, at least not that I know of. Drive Robotnik. No, haven't met him, but I met someone named Gerald Robotnik along with a Maria Robotnik, but no one else with that name. I escaped from isolation in a jail. I guess they somehow followed me here. Yeah, I've been lonely after what happened on the Ark. I have no one now. Maria died in front of me. I believe Gerald also met the same fate. Sonic, listen as I answered his questions. He didn't mind that I didn't answer them too fast.
Was Gerald into trying to harness power in order to create high-powered robots?
The question only took me by surprise. He was actually nice, just wanted to help his granddaughter by trying to find a cure for her illness. He ended up creating me. He wasn't very fond of robots much. He was actually nicer than the other scientists. He cared about me. He wasn't afraid of me. Sonic nodded a bit as he listened to my answer. We both fell silent. I decided to sit up a bit careful of the bullet wounds from those terrible drones. I didn't mind talking to another hedgehog much. This one was friendly, and while he did save me from the drones, guess I owe him one for helping me. I kinda slumped a bit instead of sitting up straight, not because of the injury though. Sonic just stared at me with a longing gaze as silence surrounded us both, but then we heard a car driving up to the driveway. Sonic's eyes lit up with excitement before he went downstairs. I followed after. My injuries were already starting to heal. I just didn't want to be left alone in the room in case more drones came in. Maybe this blue hedgehog wasn't all that bad, I thought as I met up with him. He was looking out a window. We both watched as a man got out of a parked truck. Sonic's ears gave a slight twitch. He seemed to be happy. A soft smile appeared on his face as the human walked up the driveway.